Well, hello and welcome back to another in a series of SAT Math Prep videos. This is number 6, and this is from the No Calculator section. You know that SAT has two math tests, one with no calculator and one with the calculator. And this is the grid and response type questions. And we'll talk about that, what exactly that means. That is opposed to the multiple choice questions. So when we get to the problems, if you'll pause the video first, then try the problem and come back, I think you'll find that very effective for your learning. Just briefly talk about grid and response. You will, on your answer sheet, you'll see a grid that looks something like this. And when you get your answer, you're going to write it in the blank spaces at the top, and then you fill in the circles that match what each of those numbers are. So if you have a fraction, then you're going to use the fraction bar, which is the circle at the very top. If you have a decimal, you'll use the circle just underneath that for your decimal fill-in. It doesn't matter if you were to answer 100, if you put it in the right 3 boxes or the left 3 boxes, it will still count the same. Okay, we'll talk more about that another time. Here's a question. If f of x equals x plus 5, then for what value of a is f of 3a plus 2 equal f of 2a plus 3? So f of x means the function evaluated at x equals x plus 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to find f of 3a, which means plug 3a in place of x. So that means f of 3a is 3a plus 5, because we substituted 3a in place of this x. And then we still have the plus 2. Now f of 2a is going to be a 2a substituted for the x, so this is 2a plus 5 plus 3. All right, so now all we need to do is combine like terms. We have 3a plus 7 on this side. On the right side of the equals, it's 2a plus 8. So we're going to subtract 7 so that we get all the numbers on one side. That will give us 3a equals 2a plus 1. Then we subtract 2a from both sides, and we're left with 1a equal to 1. So the answer is 1. And that's the number 1 will be what you put into the grid boxes. Just to give an example there, you would write the 1 right there. You could actually write that 1 in any of the boxes and it would still be counted correct. All right, the next problem. If a comma b is the vertex or turning point of the parabola, whose equation is y equals x plus 3 squared plus 3, then what is the value of a plus b? This is one of those questions where when you find a and b, they want you to add them together and give them the answer. So you're actually solving the problem and then giving a different kind of answer, the answer in a different form. All right. So what we're talking about is a parabola, the vertex being either the lowest point or the highest point. If you have an upside down parabola, it would be the highest point. So in this case, we want to know what the coordinates of that point are. Now there's different ways that we can solve this. If you remember that the vertex form for parabola gives the coordinates of the vertex in this form. h comma k would be the coordinates of the vertex. So what we have is x plus 3 squared plus 3. So we can tell visually that the k is equal to 3. The h, since this is a minus here, a minus negative 3 would give us a plus 3. So that means h is equal to negative 3. So the coordinates of our vertex are negative 3 and 3. That means a plus b is negative 3 plus 3, which equals 0. So 0 is the answer for that one. Next problem. What is the value of square root x times cube root x? And the whole thing is parentheses raised to the 6th power when x equals 2. Well, let's take a look at the first part of this. And before we actually substitute or evaluate the expression for x equal 2. If you recall, a square root x can be written in rational exponents as x to the 1/2. It's an important thing to remember. Cube root of x is x to the 1/3. And that whole thing is going to be raised to the 6th. So when we have something raised to a power and the same thing raised to a different power, that x is called the base. Then the bases are the same, then we just add the exponents together and we get x to the 1/2 plus 1/3. And that whole thing is going to get raised to the 6th. All right, 1/2 plus 1/3, that's 3/6 plus 2/6, which is 5/6. So now we've got x to the 5/6. That is raised to the 6th power. And now the other rule of exponents, one of the other rules is that if we have a power raised to another power, then we multiply. Notice the difference in this part over here where we got a base times a base, and this one is just an exponent raised to another power. So that means we're going to multiply 5/6 times 6. And that's going to equal x to the 5th. Now we're evaluating at x equals 2. So that means that's 2 to the 5th, and that's 32. Realizing that this was something that you couldn't use your calculator for, if you had memorized that some of the powers of 2, which is not a bad thing to have, then 2 to the 5th is 32. But if not, then just multiply 2 times itself 5 times. Okay, so that's going to wrap up this video. If you need extra help, one-on-one or in small groups, you can contact me at this website, www.maxmathtutoring.com. You can register there for a free download of a little pamphlet called 5 Strategies for Overcoming Test Anxiety. This would be before these strategies, you're kind of panicky, and then after, you're calm. I would highly recommend checking that out, and I will see you on the next video.